Hello, everyone. It's time for Goku versus the Flash. I know a lot of people have been asking about this for a while. I thought this would be an interesting twist as well to the normal, stereotypical Goku versus Superman debates. Thank God that's kind of died down a little bit, but I wanted to start a new argument. So Goku versus the Flash. For this video, we're going to be using Barry, and we're going to also be using, of course, God Goku current. Not any hypothetical Limit Breaker Goku, although we can kind of talk about the possibility. But for the most part, Chuck is going to be talking about Flash in this video. I'll go over Goku, and we'll go over some of their hacks and counters to each other after we're done calculating their powers and talking about their consistencies, etc. So, Chuck, why don't you explain to the viewers how strong is the Flash?
Okay, so essentially, there's two versions of the Flash. Barry Allen, who's basically from the New 52 continuity, and of course, Wally West from the post-Christ continuity. And essentially, Barry is stated to, be superior to Wally, so we can basically use his feats to scale off of him. I mean, if we're going to scale Goku from other people, why can't we scale the Flash from, of course, another Flash? So to get started, we're going to talk about his speed. Flash, he's actually faster than instant travel, which means that he would be faster than instant transmission, if you think about it. And as well, he was able to, keep up with Superman in many battles, as well with, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, all these people that are massively faster than light.
I'd like to bring up that Superman has feats, even though he was, drained and sick, he crossed, galaxies and within, 60 days. And he's, confirmed over billions, possibly trillions times the speed of light easily, even lowballing. So that is something that would correlate to the Flash.
The Essential Superman Encyclopedia states that both Earth 1 and Earth 2 Flash were both able to surpass the speed of Superman. So, I mean, that's clearly massively faster than light speeds right there. Yep. And then one of Flash's most famous feats is actually when he was able to save, hundreds of people, if not thousands of people, from a nuke going off. Now, this is kind of weird because the author basically what the author says within the text is that he's basically going barely the speed of light, even though by calculations it should easily be faster than that, because it would be pretty much impossible for him to save that many people in such a short time frame, right? But even if you don't want to use that feat, you can still use the scaling from Superman, and of course when he's able to keep up in combat with them.
Well, that's obviously author stupidity, because obviously the author didn't even think that through very well or try to calculate what the feat was going to be. And regardless, feats greater than statements infinitely. That's just a fact. Feats are always greater than any statement out there. So the feat does remain that would be much faster than light, no matter what the author said about it, to be honest. I mean, the author was obviously just lowballing because he didn't know anyway. So,
to give you guys an example about how fast Wally is, he was actually able to basically outrun death through at the end of space and time. Basically to the end of the universe where death, the black rays are pretty much fucking dissolved to nothing. Yeah. So I mean, that proves right there that the Flash is fourth dimensional. He's fucking fast as fuck, boy.
And there's that was cringy, but anyway, the DC universe, some people even have hypothesis that it's 3,000 times bigger than our actual universe, because the size of the DC universe is actually much larger. Although for the sake of this video, we're just going to say that it's just a normal universe, because fourth dimensional is the equivalent to infinite three-dimensional space anyway. So the size of the DC universe is kind of irrelevant if we're just going to say he's fourth dimensional regardless. So I thought I would just add that in.
Now that you guys have an idea about how fast the Flash is, now let's move on to his hacks-arinos. So Flash is able to phase through opponents, but he unfortunately needs to concentrate and basically distinguish what rate or speed he needs to vibrate. And, obviously this is going to take time, so you can't just spam and just immediately phase anyone. He's actually been countered by Supergirl and Wonder Stripper while trying to phase through them.
Wonder Stripper.
So
yeah, I remember Supergirl did knee him in the face even when he did start vibrating. And there are numerous instances where the Flash can't instantly phase through an object. He has to obviously adjust himself to be able to vibrate through certain things, and he has to get used to it. So it does make sense that if Goku is on a relative speed or possibly greater power, that the Flash is going to have a very difficult time getting through him, especially since Goku's defenses are mainly key-oriented, key is strengthening his body and his defenses. So it does make sense that the Flash would probably struggle to vibrate through Goku, at least instantaneously. It'd probably take him a bit. And if the Flash is just massively faster than Goku, of course he's just going to phase through him. But for the most part, it is looking like the no limits fallacy I always hear, that the Flash just has infinite attack potency because he can phase through people. It's yeah, dude, you see God over there, just phase right through him. They just one shot him, one above all.
Just phase right through
just
fucking
phase
the one
through
above
him,
all.
dude. Instantly. There's no limits to his power. No, that's bullshit. It's there's clear limits to Flash's phasing ability. I don't know why people wank it so hard. It's a little bit weird. It's kind of like people wanking Goku to be like have infinite speed because he broke through his time barrier.
No, he's not always plank speed.
Like, yeah,
that was terrible.
Yeah, whenever people wank their characters to have no limits, it's really edgy. But for what we've come over is that the Flash obviously needs time to learn how to vibrate through an opponent. Although if he is massively faster than Goku, like I said, yes, he can phase through Goku, but that's only if Goku lets him and if he can. So continuing on.
Speaking of no limits fallacies, the Flash is actually able to speed steal from people and basically can actually like steal their kinetic energy and their connection to his speed force that he can actually turn into fucking statues, which he actually did to multiple speedsters and other like fighters that, you know, he basically faced. And basically he has like this fucking room where a bunch of people are fucking frozen, which is pretty fucking crazy. But he hasn't really shown this against people that are, you know, like multi-universal like Goku is.
Way more powerful than him. And the other thing is that if they're fighting in like a neutral space, there's also the question is, does the Speed Force even like exist in their battle? Like, would the Speed Force like even be an effect towards Goku? Like stealing his Speed Force, would that even matter since he never had it to begin with? That's something to consider. So
when Barry actually fought against Professor Zoom, it was actually stated that it affected reality. You know, which I don't know how you can really like calculate that. But, you know, that's still pretty damn impressive, you know, like just through their sheer speed and power, they were able to just, you know, affect like, you know, pretty much the New 52 continuity, you know, the fucking reality. So, I mean, that's pretty damn impressive. And then speaking about Wally, he was actually able to break through Antimatter's armor, which means that, you know, through his speed, he's actually able to, you know, become so fast that he can actually, you know, pretty much break through really, really strong fucking Antimatter had. And actually, we're going to talk about the Antimatter later on because he's going to be really important to talk about God Flash. But anyways, Seth is now going to talk about this Infinite Mass Punch, so get that started.
Yeah, the Infinite Mass Punch, it has some interesting statements about it. I know there's a lot of people that think that the Infinite Mass Punch has like, there's two settings for it here. There's either one, that it's a white dwarf star level because it was stated to be that, or two, that it has simply infinite attack potency because one of the authors actually did state that it does have infinite mass when you are punching with it. And this also is due to like relativity in the series actually being applied. So for example, when they hit the speed of light, their mass hits infinite, like, you know, Einstein theorized. And this is also shown with like Superman when he tackled the Shadow Moon and, you know, used the Infinite Mass Punch as well. Like, and then Batman's like, oh, he's trying so hard to hit the speed of light. And it's like, it seems like a low ball almost. For the sake of this, if we're highballing the Flash, it is possible that the Infinite Mass Punch would possibly spike into the fourth dimension in terms of like an infinite 3D attack potency. And it would still be like obviously below multi-universal plus beings, like say like the Anti-Monitor and stuff. And it's also shown that most of the time he does use the Infinite Mass Punch that he's actually suppressing himself for some reason. So it's most likely way above White Dwarf Star level, especially if he's supposed to be taking on like Superman and Darkseid and stuff like that. It just doesn't make any sense that you'd only be White Dwarf Star level, especially since these beings
all of them.
Yeah.
All of them are White Dwarf Star level.
Yeah, everyone's just White Dwarf Star. Like, none of them are even solar system level in the whole comic. So, yeah, it's definitely very clear it's above White Dwarf Star level and possibly hits infinite mass. I know a few authors actually stated it hit infinite mass. So, yeah, we're just going to be going with that for the Infinite Mass Punch.
Okay, so essentially in Crisis of Infinite Earths, Antimatter was pretty much like such a fucking powerful villain that he destroyed like pretty much the majority of the DC multiverse, and pretty much only a couple of universes remained. Even Spectre and a bunch of these fucking cosmic entities had to fight him. They couldn't do shit. The Justice League was struggling against them. They couldn't do shit. But then here comes the Flash, just fucking breaks through his armor, which is pretty damn impressive. If the Antimatter is like multiversal casually and the Flash is able to break through him, then easily Wally should easily be multi-universal at the very minimum. And then, you know, if you want to scale Barry off of that, then, you know, of course, it could also be multi-universal. However, you know, this will be a high ball. But I mean, I'm not saying it's an outlier because, I mean, it clearly happened and it's clearly possible for him to do that. But it's not what he usually shows, if that makes any sense. He doesn't like just shit out that amount of power all the time. Yeah. So, you know, but essentially, the Flash is still pretty damn strong if you want to scale off of that feat.
if Flash really did take out the Anti-Monitor, or like he was actually able to contend with like a multiversal plus like being, then this battle will in fact go to the Flash, like undoubtedly. But it's more than likely that the Flash is not at that level, and that is obviously a very highballed Flash to be multiversal. Like there are, like it's kind of similar with like Superman, where like there's always these different continuities and different writers around him that think he has different powers and stuff like that. Like there's one writer who's like, the Flash can think, fight, move at the speed of light. There's some writers that think, oh no, he can like reach the speed of light if he tries really hard. Or there's some writers that are like, nah, the speed, like Flash is the fastest man alive. There's nobody faster than the Flash. So it's like, it's really hard to gauge. But if we're like highballing him to the utmost degree with the Anti-Monitor, then he would stomp. But I think like a normal Flash would definitely not be at that level. So without further ado, let's talk about Goku. Goku, man, what hasn't been said about Goku already? But
many times.
We say it all the time. I mean, but Goku obviously has the stereotypical feats where he fights Beerus. Those are obviously his best feats, but he does have some other things and scaling beyond that. So, for example, we should obviously talk about it. Goku obviously shakes the universe and is going to destroy it as a Super Saiyan God against Beerus. I've heard people try to nerf this, saying, "Oh, it's only because Beerus was there that the universe was threatened." But that doesn't even make any sense, because that would still mean Goku is half the force being affecting the universe, because Goku and Beerus were obviously exerting the same amount of power, or else Beerus would have overpowered Goku's punch. They wouldn't have just clashed in the middle. And it should also be noted that Goku did fully absorb Super Saiyan God by the end of that fight. So his base form, actually, it turned all of Super Saiyan God into his base normal ki that he could use. And he could actually stack on Super Saiyan God energy on top of that. And of course, we know that Goku fought like Hit with Kaioken times 10 as a Super Saiyan Blue. And then after the Goku Black arc, he was able to fight Hit as just a normal Super Saiyan Blue. So you have Goku getting much exponentially more powerful as the series goes on. Some people will even say that base Goku times 400 for Super Saiyan 3 still isn't even Super Saiyan Blue level. And then times 10 for that could be 4,000. And then you could say that current Goku is easily stronger than that even. So you could obviously imply that Goku is possibly low multiversal, which is the equivalent of destroying 1,000 plus 40 universes. So if that's the case, then Goku would in fact spike up to low multiversal. Now, we're not talking about complex multiversal like the Anti-Monitor would be. That'd be absurd wank. This is obviously only assuming that the Dragon Ball universe is a standard fourth dimensional universe, and that by scaling he'd be able to destroy thousands via attack potency. Obviously, he doesn't have the range to accomplish a feat like that, or else Zeno wouldn't scare the fuck out of him by threatening the same thing. So that is something to consider. Speed-wise, it's a little bit more complicated. How about you talk about something for speed?
Okay, so people like obviously try to downplay, Dragon Ball to like the absolute like worst extent, from the newest episode, that states that, it's Dispo surpassed the speed of light, even though.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, that's
here, even though okay, none of that even says that he was in the speed of light, and he says that he surpassed it through like repeated battles, meaning that over time as he was fighting, he was, he surpassed the speed of light. Like same case with Goku, like he was basically like, training to dodge lightning and shit, and then he was able to surpass the speed of light by the end of that, right?
Well, by the
by
the time the Saiyan saga rolled around, Goku was already the speed of light due to at least beam scaling by Piccolo. Piccolo blew up the moon in 4 seconds, and obviously Goku is way more than 4 times that, at least as a fucking Super Saiyan and Namek. We've actually confirmed he's thousands of times faster than that, but still, his best speed feats would be around as a god regardless. So I think it is something to talk about though with Dispo, because for some reason people are writing that Dispo cock about the light speed statement, even though they're like comparing. He's even surpassed the speed of sound and light. Like sound and light are not anywhere near the same speed. I don't know why they're being compared at all.
Why is it so impressive, anyways, dude?
Yeah, so sound is like the speed of a bullet, dude. Like
which Goku was dodging.
That's literally early Dragon Ball level. So I don't know why they're being compared.
you can actually directly scale like Beerus, to Goku, because in one of the early Dragon Ball Super episodes, Whis actually, was getting food for him, I believe in another star system. We actually see him fly out of like, their little planet or whatever. And, Beerus basically said, "Hey, you bitch, bring me my food in 3 minutes," or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then, Beerus grew impatient. He fucking flew directly to where Whis was with his staff, which, can basically travel, like, actually stated that Earth was on the end of the fucking universe, right? And they were traveling across and back.
Yeah.
And then, fly there just to get some fucking food. And then he's fighting against Goku. I've seen some people argue that, but Beerus isn't gonna use his, more ki against Goku. Like, what the fuck, dude? Okay, so he's gonna use less ki to fight Goku. The guy's been waiting decades to fight, but he's gonna use more ki to get food. Yeah, that makes perfect fucking sense. Either way, that's still massively faster than light. And of course, we even have other feats from the fucking manga and the anime, where Goku fights and keeps up with Kid Buu, who basically stated to destroy galaxies over several years. Even if you want to downplay the fuck out of it and say it took him hundreds of thousands of years, that'd still be massively faster than light, dude. So I mean, there's no reason to downplay Goku. Dude.
Yeah. As far as we know, though, it's very apparent that Goku's blasts and beams and like shockwaves do cross the universe almost instantaneously. Like when he's fighting Beerus, his battle was seen almost instantly across the universe. Like it was like literally the battle was so bright and powerful that it was seen. It was completely blinding all the Kai on the Supreme Kai planet, which is outside of the universe, and it was shaking their planet. So it's very clear that the battle was, of course, of universal proportions, and that the battle was exceeding speeds required to travel across the universe almost instantaneously. But to lowball, a lot of people do put him at like the quadrillions to septillions of times faster than the speed of light range. Although a lot of people have simply said that at this rate, he's just hit fourth dimensional because, of course, it's stated that Beerus and Goku are going to annihilate the universe, and which annihilate means reduce to non-existence, meaning they're going to reduce the fourth dimensional time stream of the universe to non-existence, which would be fourth dimensional. And of course, you have characters like Zamasu fuse with the universe, and then Goku's like, yeah, if I had a sensu bean, I could fucking obliterate this guy, even though he's coming through different timelines and is fused with the universe itself, including time. And, you have characters like Goku Black who are splitting open universes and controlling it with his own energies and stuff like that. There's just a lot of different things that imply fourth dimensional for Goku. And that's why I think this battle is actually very interesting, because Goku and the Flash both kind of hit that plateau that I was talking about in one of my earlier videos.
I would actually like to discuss that Goku does have counters to hacks. I mean, obviously he was able to counter like Hit's time skip, and he was able to break dimensions just by powering up, which is pretty interesting. And then of course, this feat that many people get fucking mad over is that he was basically tanking the raw power of the Hakai energy. He didn't fucking die from it instantly,
which has astral offense, which is interesting. Right? It can even destroy ghosts and shit, meaning Goku has soul resistance. So that is a very interesting ability.
Yeah, and he did that in base form, of course.
And of course, in the manga, he also has the Hakai himself. And it brings up into question, does Flash have a defense against that? We don't really know. Although, as we know, the Hakai only really seems to work on opponents that are weaker than it anyway. But there's also that astral argument as well. Like, even if he is weaker, is his soul going to be able to resist it? Does it only affect the body and obliterate the soul along with it? That's another question to bring up.
Okay, so the thing is, the Flash has shown some resistance to soul manipulation, but soul manipulation is not the same thing as countering soul destruction.
Right.
So logically, they're not the same kind of hacks resistance, but you could imply that Flash has at least some defense to it.
Right.
But I mean, Flash hasn't shown anything actually regarding countering that, but Goku has. So you could say that if Goku is getting countered by the Flash, or he's getting shit on, he could just use the Hakai and finish the fight. But I would say if you're using Barry, like regular Barry, you're not using the high ball from Wally, then Goku should easily defeat him. But if you want to use his best feats, then Goku will definitely have a hard time.
Explain your reasoning why he would beat normal Barry.
Because Barry hasn't shown any multi-universe levels of attack potency like Wally has. And
right.
Of course, I mean, you really can't calculate his fight against Professor Zoom. They affected reality. I mean, can we really calculate that?
You can't calculate bending space or affecting reality. This is shown it. It's like saying that Janemba affected reality, or that Superman could tear space. It's like it's not really something that can be calculated because we don't even know how it works. I mean, it's obviously like a fictional ability that with no explanation. So,
and not to mention, Gotenks and Super Boo were pretty much like, you know, basically tearing through, you know, dimensions, you know, just by shouting. Does that mean they're universal or what? I mean, clearly not. But
there's some different things when it comes to warping space and time. It's a completely different concept to destroying it per se. I don't think it really equates to infinite attack potency. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, but as I said, if you want to highball from Wally, you know, against his speed with the anti-monitor, then you could imply that Barry does have multi-universal levels of attack potency. But as we said, of course, that's a highball. But anyways, now we're going to get into...
So anti-monitor Flash would probably destroy.
Yes, I would say that, you know, if you want to use a highball Wally Barry fucking combo, then yes, then he would probably win. Unless Goku is a Kai, so yes.
Although that's the question also comes into the play of can Goku even touch that Flash? So probably not. And I mean, as you said earlier in the video, another question I wanted to talk about is can Goku even touch the Flash? Because you were arguing that the Flash instantaneously appeared to the end of the universe almost. Well, not instantaneously, but ran to the end of possibly this infinite universe to outrace fucking death, and can run faster than instantaneous. So what's your opinion on that?
Well, I mean, definitely, like, Flash's speed does, you know, I guess, depend on how much of the Speed Force he's connected into. And obviously, you know, when he's fighting against Superman and stuff like that, you know, if he's on par with them, you know, then easily massively faster in light, you know, as you said, you know, like with the feat with Superman crossing across the universe. And then, you know, if you basically put on top of that he can just basically exist without, you know, a fucking fourth dimensional space, you know, there's a fucking void. And then, you know, if he can travel faster than instant travel, then, you know, clearly he definitely has an advantage over Goku in that regards. But speed isn't always everything, obviously.
There's also the argument that Goku might also have insane speed on par with that if you calculate the fact that their battle was obviously universal in scale almost instantaneously. Right. And of course he gets way stronger than that, and like I said, it's possible that he hit the fourth dimension himself, which would of course be infinite three-dimensional travel, but that's a different argument. Regardless, highballed Flash stomps. Normal Flash would probably get beaten. Now let's talk about God of Death Flash, which is basically Flash's God form, which is probably more fair lore-wise to fight Goku's God form. So why don't you talk about God Flash? We'll wrap this up.
Okay, so I actually did a power skill on God Flash like several months ago, but to give you guys a starter on how strong this motherfucker is, let's get down and dirty with Anti-Monitor. So essentially, as I said, you know, he was basically able to wipe out the majority of the DC multiverse, and a guide says, as stated, in his original incarnation, the Anti-Monitor looked different, but was just as powerful as his reincarnated form after the Flashpoint event. Meaning that the Anti-Monitor from New 52 or the Darkseid War is basically just as strong as his Crisis on Infinite Earth's counterpart, which means he's already fucking multiversal in base form.
That's the base. That's base Anti-Monitor, but yeah.
And then he feeds on more universes. And then he becomes even amped after that. He fights against Darkseid. They're both getting, you know, basically fighting each other. Here comes the Flash, with fucking death, and one-shots Darkseid, someone who was on par with Anti-Monitor, stronger than base, who's already multiversal. Yeah. Literally one-shot him. So I mean, that should honestly just I should tell you how strong this motherfucker is.
I don't want to be the guy to say this, but God of Death Flash probably solos Dragon Ball Super. Like he like unironically probably does. I mean, not even Zeno is 5D. I mean, because there's multiple Zenos, so he's obviously bound by time. And God of Death Flash would fucking destroy him. Now there are some Dragon Ball characters that might be on that level, like Xenoverse characters, which fucking scale way differently. But I don't want to get into that. All right, now that we've kind of talked about who wins between like the normal Flash and say Goku, let's talk about a hypothetical limit breaking form. Do you think, in your opinion, that a hypothetical limit breaking Goku could defeat a highballed Flash? Now, the Limit Breaker Goku, going by lore, we haven't actually seen it yet. It'll come out soon eventually. But apparently it might be God of Destruction level. So in your opinion, what do you think will happen with that?
Well, like obviously, we have people like Vegito, who's basically strong enough to go up against like Merge Damasu, and then if you go by the manga, it could be implied that they could be stronger than Beerus, and Beerus like can just casually nullify universe levels of energy while just fucking casually like fucking using like I don't know what some bullshit percent of his power.
Not even 1%.
Yeah, and then if Goku's on that level, if not beyond that, then I mean, I honestly, due to all that raw power that he has, he should be able to basically close the gap between him and a highballed Flash. Okay, so yes, anti-matter would be like multiversal. But obviously, if you want to say that Flash was able to break through his armor, of course he didn't defeat him or actually kill him or anything. Then you could say he's multi-universal, up to low multiversal. But as we argued, even if we use like a regular Goku with scaling and all those like amps that he's gone over the years that the series has been out, then if he's already low multiversal at highballing and then he gets another amp on top of that, then he should be able to close the gap with that.
Well, the problem is that multiversal plus, which the anti-monitor should be, if I'm hearing you right, is the ability to destroy or create an infinite amount of fourth dimensional universes. It's kind of like the next level past fourth dimensional compared to 3D. And I don't see Goku, if he is fourth dimensional, having like a 400 to possibly whatever fucking amount multiplier from Vegito. Like if we apply that Vegito as a Super Saiyan Blue is just like Beerus level and that Goku's just going to kind of hit that level with his new form, I don't see it really being enough to close that plateau, that dimensional plateau. But what you're implying is that the Flash still isn't on that level, which I may or may not disagree with, because the Flash did crack his armor, but I understand where you're coming from. So
now I already know that a lot of people are gonna be trying to lowball Goku. They're gonna say, "Oh, like he got him by laser XD, right? Fucking edgy, fucking edgelords or whatever the fuck."
He also got him by a rock. Low.
And then people are gonna say, "Oh, if Goku's universal, then why, when he's fighting like Hid or fucking Beerus the second time or Frieza, why did they only like destroy craters and shit? They're only mound level." Well, the thing is, there's this thing called area of effect and key control. Key control is an actual, right? Key control is an actual like term, like even Toriyama himself used. It's not some bullshit term we came up with. Area of effect isn't some shit we came up with. It's in the series and it's in the comics as well. If you want to lowball and say that Goku is universal because he's destroyed fucking tile fighting Hit, even though he's clearly much stronger than Super Saiyan God Goku when he fought Beerus. I mean, remember when we were talking about God of Death Flash? I mean, before that, Darkseid and Anti-Matter were fighting. They didn't even destroy a fucking city. They're only city level or what, dude? Area of effect clearly doesn't exist, right? I mean, come on. These guys are beyond universal, but they don't destroy a city. Get the fuck out of here.
Darkseid got mugged by normal people. He's clearly like Switchblade level, dude.
So, Goku getting hurt by a laser because he dropped his guard. And of course, even the Flash has the lowball feat. Like if you want to lowball him, where he got stabbed by fucking Deathstroke one time, who's basically someone that Batman has fucking fought before.
Fucking human. So yeah, these low balls don't work, and we also know that Goku is obviously off guard, and we don't use absurd low ends like that anyway. It's not logical for a versus battle unless you're being a fantard. So, but anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Tell us what you think down below. We've been thinking about this for a while. I've consulted a lot of different people about it. I talked to one guy who was like lowballing the fuck out of Flash, and I talked to one guy that was just like wanking the fuck out of him. So I kind of tried to put it in the middle a little bit. I'm trying not to take sides on it. Like I said, with comic book characters, you said this too before, there's just so variables. Like there's so many variables with them. Like if you try to scale their power progression, it's always up and down, whereas Dragon Ball's always been like consistently up. So it's way harder to scale comics like consistently. So hope you guys enjoyed our analysis. Subscribe to my boy Chuckster Fuckster. Until next time.
Peace out.